saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. There's nothing to you otherwise.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast. This is your host, Adam Thooft, joined by co-host
John Kostohris.
What is up, boys? We are back at it this is the unofficial launch of season 3, unofficially.
The officially unofficial.
Yeah, we're not really breaking it into seasons, but if there was season 3, this is season 3. And me and John have just been kind of convicted to keep going with this podcast and making it something really great, so we can inspire more men to be dangerous. John, you want to kind of go into a little bit of like the oomph for us to like come back and really like.
Yeah. So there's so many thoughts actually. Well, first of all, I'll say that Adam and I have been doing numerous things in our life, and we can kind of get into that and why we kind of took a little bit of a break here, a siesta for more than the 1 hour that they do in like Italy or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's or like Spain. Anyway,
point being, I know it's been a couple months, but we're back to doing this regularly again for another stretch here. Our life has kind of allowed that to come back, but I've just been like personally, I want to speak more from the heart. Like I've just been so convicted to just share from the heart and be more passionate about my life, more passionate about my friendships, more passionate about my work. And this was kind of sparked by a lot of things, but particularly coming back for this official season 3, it's just been like people coming up to me like, hey, when are you putting out new episodes? Like, hey, when are you guys gonna start, bringing back, doing this regularly again? And one day I was like, me and Adam were getting drinks with some friends. And we had a guy bring that up, and he's like, dude, like, it's so good. I've been actually listening to it more. Like, you got to keep doing it again. And we're like, oh, dude, we 100% plan on it. We just don't know when. But we're like, dang. And then like, we had some young guys that Ab and I work with. They're like, dude, so like, when's the podcast coming back? And I was like, wow, like, people listen to this. And I knew some of my friends listened to it, but for us, it brought us back to the roots. I think you could say the same thing, Adam, of like, wow, like, this is needed.
Yeah.
Like this conversation about being men is as cliche as it possibly could be. I think Adam and I really are trying to talk about it in a non-cliche way and just a real way, real to the heart. And I've just, we work with, Adam and I both work with some high schoolers through a church youth group we work with. Okay. So we're working with young men. I'm a supervisor right now. What I've been doing with work, this is why I haven't been podcasting, but really busy. Working as a supervisor with the valet company full time. And I'm working with high school and college guys, young men. And I'm just seeing such a need for everything that we're talking about, everything that, that Adam and I are living and experiencing. And so, yeah, we want to get back to the roots about being a man. And there's so much I could say here, but I think that's what's really convicting us that like, you know what, this is an awesome mission. I'm just like honestly almost brought to tears how honored I am to be in this space with you, Adam. And I'm excited about some of the guests that we have lined up. We have a handful of people that are like, I want to be on the show. And like, I want to talk about this that have listened to our podcast. And it's just, I'm blown away and I'm excited for where this is going to go. But I mean, this is episode, you can take it from here, Adam.
Yeah, this is episode 50. So
yeah,
bada bing, bada boom, 50 big ones. Like, you can tell that me and John are like very passionate about this right now. Like we listen to the podcast like intro at the same time you guys do as we're going into it. Mm-hmm. And like, it's just like a, let's go. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. And I think a huge even like mindset shift for me when it comes to a podcast is like, originally were like, hey, this is our idea. We should like try this out. Like, this is what we're kind of convicted about. We don't really know if other people are going to like
align with that.
align with it or like respond to it. And then we
Right.
in our hiatus here had some people be like, hey, like, when's more coming out? And it's like, oh, this is going from us being like, hey, this is a little project that we're kind of doing because we like doing it. And, you know, we like, there might be some self-centered reasons for why we did the podcast at the beginning, but now it's like, oh, we actually need to do this to serve people now.
Yeah.
And it's like needed for me and John as well, but like for those who are also listening. And I think that brings the podcast to life more for me, because it's like, oh, like this is a mission now. We are on a mission to make men more dangerous. So thank you all for all those out there who are on this journey with us. We've just been, you can tell that me and John are just kind of have more urgency about what's going on in our culture and really trying to help men like become dangerous and provide more value.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
More urgency.
Yeah.
Adam and I are kind of going off the cuff offline here before we got on. And I know you just had an array of thoughts here, but I mean, you just want to launch into some of that, Adam, with your thoughts and experiences from today and what's been on your mind.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is like today I went to church, and the pastor was saying some real stuff. And I actually went to a high school that is kind of connected to this church. So it kind of brought me back to when I was in high school, and it reminded me of a lot of like solid truth things that I'm just kind of like being soft on now. And I'm like, I know what I need to do, but I'm not like doing it. So like, I'm just kind of being a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one to be like, I don't want to come across as someone who's like, oh, just swearing willy-nilly all the time. Because if you swear all the time, then when you actually need to say something that's real, you have no words for it.
Right.
So when I say like, I'm kind of being a bitch, like, it's like, oh shit, like I need to get some of my life together. And I think it's just so important to actually realize like where you're at. And I think for me, I've noticed that I'll be a certain kind of way with certain people, and I'll be a slightly different way with another group of people. And it frustrates me because it's like the ideas from one group, I can't switch over to the other group, even though that's what I want to do. But because I've already like portrayed myself through a certain way to them,
right?
It's like hard to do that without fear. But it's so important to do that and to have like that single-mindedness where you're just one person. And when I say you, I mean this is me projecting a little bit here, but
so let's break that down a little before we move on. So you mentioned a couple things: single-mindedness.
Yes.
And you're saying like, is this kind of the mask concept of I'm two different ways depending on who I'm with?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying? Like, what I guess what brings that to mind for you, or what's that concept? I guess.
Yeah. So kind of when being like different to different groups of people is like, I think it really kind of comes out of like a desire to be admired by people and a desire to fit in and kind of like, I mean, please people, which in some aspects are good, but like in others not. And we're talking about in the case where it's not as good.
Right.
But like, so it's kind of like the allegory of wearing a mask, like a story of like, you can kind of picture as you put a mask on when you're around certain people. So you're not really yourself. You're like this character. Even though that character's, similar to yourself. And I've kind of experienced myself doing that. And sometimes like, I won't even realize I'm doing it until like after like a conversation and be like, wait, why did I not say the thing that I'm actually thinking in that conversation? Like, and that's why I say like, well, I'm just not actually putting myself forward. And like,
Oh,
that's real.
it makes me wonder how many times like that you mentioned the fear part, right? Like when am I as a man afraid to just be my true self?
Yeah.
And let's break that down to be the most like uncliche as possible. Like I can remember being around maybe it's coworkers or just, I don't know, somebody like I can remember talking to, somebody I want to impress. Maybe it's like a new business partner or something like that, maybe if it's in school, it's, it could be anything like just any person you want to impress and
a lady.
Yeah. A lady. I have all these memories popping to mind right now as I say this. Right. And I almost want to like kind of control how I'm perceived. Right.
Yeah.
In a less complex way, that would be like, maybe I won't laugh super loud here. I'll just be like, I'll put more like a facial expression on, or like I'm almost thinking about what I'm doing. I guess we can all probably have done that, or like, or maybe like one moment that comes to mind for me is I'm working valet. I'm at a hotel. I'm on the sidewalk by the front doors, and guests are coming in the doors and they're coming out the doors. And as they come in, I'm like, welcome in, guys. And as they're leaving, I'm like, have a great day, y'all. And it can be easy to be like, initially when I first started doing valet, it was like, hey guys, have a good day. And then they don't turn and look at you, and you're like, oh shit, I feel so like awkward.
Like, that's awkward.
Never mind. I didn't just, I'm looking around at the other valets, and I'm like, I didn't just wave and say hi. I'm gonna go hide in the bathroom. and now I'm like walking around. I'm like, hey guys, you need help with anything? They're like, no, we're just waiting for an Uber. And I'm like, sounds good. Let me know if you need anything. Walking over here. Hey, have you been helped out yet? Oh no. I'm like, oh, can we grab a car for you? And I'm just like, I'm just walking up to everyone and saying hi, asking if I can help. Just like, people walk out the door. I'm like, have a great day, guys. And they turn and they go, even if they don't really realize, sometimes they don't realize I'm talking to them. And then a little bit later, they turn and go, oh yeah. And they wave. And then I wave back. I'm like, yeah. And if they don't, I just don't care. I've kind of moved on. Like, but there's like this loudness and this confidence of like, and I don't really care if another valet like sees me say that and the person like totally ignores me and it's awkward. I just kind of move on, right? But like, what am I getting at here?
So what do you think?
This fear.
Yeah. So you're saying that fear is kind of what made the difference there?
Yeah. Because it's what do others think of me? And that keeps me quiet. But if I just don't care, and if I know that like, nope, this is my role to be the leader here. This is my role to make these guests feel welcome. And it's the hospitality, right? If I really be like, I am in charge of this door, like this is my task and I can do it well. And if I believe I can do it well, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to, it's a new place. I'm unfamiliar. Is it okay for me to take a step and do that? Are people going to think it's weird? Like, I don't mean to say these all as like a bunch of nonsense. Like the reality is I think a lot of us think these questions. We think about how others perceive us. And to bring it back to your point, Adam, I've noticed in my own life, my holding back a little bit out of that fear. And I think that's what, in my mind, that's what part of that mask comes up is I'm trying to like control that instead of just letting the walls down and just actually being myself out of the heart and not really caring what happens. And it can be, if men haven't lived out of the heart, if they haven't been that, bold or just let themselves out and forget about the fear, like that could be so scary. And anyways, that's an experience I've had that's really freed me there.
And it's almost kind of a catch-22 with it too, because like a lot of the desires that you are putting on the mask for and being someone that you're like are slightly different from who you are, is out of desire for people to like admire you, to think highly of you, to really, when it comes down to it, like love you. But they're not really loving you, they're loving the mask. So by doing that, you are actually like you are destroying the very thing which you seek to obtain.
Whoa. Dang. Right. Wait, what do you mean by destroying? I love that idea.
Like, you are literally blocking yourself from receiving the thing which you are putting the blocker in the way to receive.
Dang.
Like, it's like you're putting a wall in front of yourself because you thought it was a bridge. Like, if you're trying to get across a river.
Okay, I'm with you.
And like the thing that you want is on the other side of the river, you're like,
Probably want a bridge, right?
yeah, you probably want a bridge. So, you might make a bridge out of, like some wood planks or something like that. But because you're afraid of, I want that thing on the other side, but also like they might also hurt me. So I got to make sure I don't get hurt. So then you take that wood and put it and make it into a wall instead of a bridge.
Oh, yeah. Instead of a bridge. But
because you made a wall, you're even less likely to get to the other side of the river because you're afraid.
Yeah.
That's a weird allegory. I feel like I talk in allegories a lot.
But it's good though, because it's like I have this desire to belong, to be accepted. Honestly, the more I've really reflected on work, other relationships I have with men and friends in my life, maybe my own father, role models, you name it, coworkers, I think men really desire, above all, from other men to be respected.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You walk into a room, you don't know anybody. Maybe actually, maybe worse. You walk into a room and you know people, and they don't really notice you walked in.
Yeah, that's honestly way worse.
How many times has that happened to all of us?
Yeah.
Enough. Probably a lot, but enough for it to what? To sting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, leave something to be desired. That bridge that you're talking about. That's the desire on the other end, is this bridge. If we could only bridge that. And I've had this experience on the flip side of that, where I walk into a room and people almost like turn from their drinks and they're like, "Hey, John," and bro hug. Yeah. What's up, man?
Like, that's what we all want.
Dude, that's a killer haircut. And it's like, and that's what we all want.
Yeah.
But I'm actually telling you of instances that have happened. Like, I'll actually walk into a room with maybe just like 4 guys, not a ton, but I have enough guys. I'll walk in and they're all so stoked to see me. And when they walk in the room, like this happens with Adam, it walks in the room, I go greet him. I'm so excited to see him. Like, I respect him. I value him. And I just, honestly, I think this word should be brought back to our conversation, but like this concept of delight. Like, I actually delight in you as a person. I delight in the things you like. I'll just sit and ask, "Hey, how was, I'm trying to think here. Like, if I'm talking to a guy who plays football, maybe one of the high schoolers I work with, how was football?" And they could literally be saying anything, and I don't really care. I'm just like, wow, that is so awesome. Like, I'm just so excited to hear them share anything about football because I care about them and I delight in them.
You're also going to listen to what they're sharing about football and actually like try to understand where they're coming from.
Ask
because
questions.
You care about them.
Yeah.
It's not like you cared about football before that conversation, but you're going to care about it now because they care about it.
Because it's important to them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's more than, I think the word goes beyond I care about them. I think there's actually a feeling and a dynamic in a friendship where I delight in someone or I delight in something about them or just anything. It doesn't matter. Compared to the friendships we all maybe have where there's tension, right?
Yeah.
Those are almost kind of two sides of a coin, perhaps. But that's just a couple thoughts on that. But
yeah. Another thought,
to bring it back, that's what we desire. That's the belonging. That's the delight that we want from other men. And I personally like to kind of think of that as like having the respect of other men.
Yeah. Having the respect when you're with the boys,
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Like when I say with the boys, it's like, I mean that as like the guys hanging out kind of thing. Not that you're boys because you should be men, but you know what I'm saying.
I get you, man.
But another thing on that is like we desire that like respect from other people. So like, and sometimes we do respect people like that, but sometimes we're more reserved. That's what I've experienced is like, oh, I would love to be like, yeah, what's up? But I'm also like, maybe this isn't the best like atmosphere to do this because I'm afraid of what other people think about me. Whereas if I did the first thing anyway, I think, well, that person would be very affirmed.
Yeah.
And then everyone else would be like, wow, that's a cool friendship.
Right. Like that's what could actually happen if we let the fear down.
Yeah. Like
there's actually, like there could be a potential loss where we're left, when I'm at the hotel, welcome in guys. And they don't even look at me. Like there's a potential loss. Maybe a valet looks and chuckles and I'm like, oh, I kind of feel silly.
Yeah.
But there's also a potential win. Like to keep the same story, like I've had guests turn to me, oh, thank you. Or what's up, man? Or just like, And be like, that's a fantastic hat. And he turns and he goes, why, thank you. And I'm just like, it feels so good. Like there's a potential win.
Yeah.
You know, I think I could be really broad here, but in pretty much everything in life, there is a potential loss and win in every scenario. And I think it's easy to get into a mindset where I live out of as a man, where I just always believe and anticipate the negative and the loss.
Yeah.
You know, like as people are saying these days, like the W and the L, you know what I mean? And that's the truth, man, is like, I think I've met a lot of men. I have a couple that come to mind. Dom, who's been on the show before, is one. They just live out of it's not optimism.
Yeah.
It's not. It's positivity. It is, but it's more than that. It's they have that mindset of things are going to go well.
Yeah.
Things are going to be blessed. There's going to be wins.
But also they're not.
And it gives them these burdens are released from just letting go of that fear.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think when it comes to like the taking a dub, taking an L, when like guys are bantering with each other, is that one guy takes the win and one guy takes the loss. That's actually not, because if that's the case, both of them are actually taking an L.
Interesting.
Because in a relationship, if it has to work well, because either both people are getting a W or both people are taking an L.
Right. Like there's not like one person wins and another loses.
Yeah. Because if
it's
you won,
truly
but
a
you're
win-win.
Yeah, because if you won at someone else's expense, you're not really winning.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. Like, yeah, man.
I don't know if expense is necessarily the best word, because some people are like, oh, but what if you sell something to somebody? But it's like, yeah, but.
You're thinking more like the butt of a joke, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the butt of a joke, but like, because like, sometimes when people say expenses, like, that can go into like the sales stuff where it's like actually sales is good when it's like you're giving them a service that they actually want that will improve their life and they're going to pay money for it. It's like, well, technically it's at their expense, but like that's money that's actually going to help them in their life. So that's actually a good thing and you're both winning in that situation.
Right.
However, you can also do sales poorly where you're just selling something that you're like convincing someone that they need something that they don't really actually need and taking their money. And that would be
more of a sleazy.
Yeah. And that would actually be an L for, you know, the person buying it, but also an L for the person selling it, because they're not going to get referrals off that person. They're going to always have to be like, oh, shoot, it's that person. So it's going to actually add stress to their life and like not help their career. So in that case, like, yeah, they might make the sale, but they're actually like hurting their career. And
their
so
reputation,
they're actually taking and their reputation and their career and their why am I blanking on the word for it?
I mean, I could even say it's a bad habit to learn to do sales that way.
Yeah.
You should be able to make things a win-win.
Integrity, that's the word that I'm looking for. And their integrity gets hurt by that. And their character. That's all taking an L. That's way worse than the amount of money that they make from it.
Right.
Even if they're making a couple of grand.
Yeah. Like money might be the short-term focus in that scenario of a sale, but long-term, I think the bigger value to a man is that, so like the character that we build every day and the actions that and the words that we speak, the actions that we take, the decisions we make, we are either building, like adding to in a positive way, our character, or we're taking away from it and we're diminishing, we're performing bad habits. You know? And so we're never on the fence. We're either growing as a man and getting better, or we're going down. And I think the more we grow in our character as men, building good character, like the strength there, that's what we're respected for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it really is the long-term play is building the integrity.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking. Speaking of integrity, that's pretty much exactly the word to describe this mask that you were talking about. If we bring it back, I mean, we were talking about fear, we were talking about mask, and you were kind of sharing, Adam, a little bit of some of your thoughts there, and like for this urgency and whatnot. I'm trying to remember where you were connecting this, but I know we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So, like, there's more urgency for this podcast and for this mission because I'm noticing in myself, like some of the things where it's like I'm being weak in this area. I'm, you know, putting on masks when and that's hurting my own integrity, where it's like,
Yeah.
really, I desire, like, one of my like chief desires is to be known as someone that has like a massive amount of integrity.
Dang.
And then like, so in that kind of situation, when I'm putting on those masks, the thing that I use to get what I seek is the very thing that destroys me in that situation. Because like my method of trying to get the thing is what's going to make me lose it. It's kind of like trying to grip a wet bar of soap. The harder you grip it, the more it's going to slip out.
Wow.
And
That's a great image.
yeah. So it's just like being able to realize that the way, like, trying to be something that you're not, you're always going to be worse at than just being who you are. But also who you are.
Being who you are.
The thing is, who you are might be kind of, a little like broken now. But if you're not, if you're not actually being who you are, it's really hard to know what's broken and to actually fix that. Because you're trying to hide what's broken all the time.
When you were in high school, Adam, along those lines, you just talked about earlier in the podcast, you were going to church.
Yeah.
To this, connected to a school you went to in high school. Yep. And it brought back a lot of memories and whatnot. What was going through your head and your heart with some of these, you had mentioned it, flashbacks of kind of the type of man or person you were in high school, right?
Yeah.
And you were contrasting to me earlier, all of a sudden the new awareness you have, the new, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. And some of our post pod or pre podcast talking.
Exactly. So I guess I would tie the question together of like, what is going on with, how have you seen yourself grow there? And what was like the old Adam and what do you recognize there when it comes to this, these themes we're talking about?
Yeah. So I think in high school, I desired a lot of the same stuff I do now, to like have like high integrity, to, be respected by people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these things. But in high school, I just didn't know how to get them. Like I just didn't know. But now it's like, I know, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. Like, dang. In what regard? What aspects came to mind today?
I think a huge part of it is just being in church is like knowing the truth, but not actually like being firm in it. So like, I know these things are true, but I still don't actually like live as if they are true. So like,
in what way?
Trying to think of a good example here. I know that. Wow, this train of thought went nowhere.
Maybe of
wow.
of prayer.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you were saying earlier.
Yeah, prayer. Like when it comes to prayer as like a Christian man, like when I was in high school, I'm like, okay, prayer is a thing that I'm doing, but I don't know exactly like how to do prayer. I was like, I'm just do like pray, read the Bible. There's other things that I can do. But I didn't really exactly understand the important, like I understood the importance of prayer. I just didn't know how to pray as well. But now I know how to pray, but I'm not necessarily as committed to it. Just because I'm so fine just being like comfortable and just kind of doing whatever. And that's kind of what when I went back to what I was saying in the earlier podcast is like, wow, like I'm a Christian man who's striving to, have a great relationship with God, and help other men become dangerous and live to their potential. But yet I'm not doing like the basic thing of like reading my Bible every day.
Yeah.
And like, that kind of makes me kind of feel like a bitch. Like, and that's the thing where it's like, and I'm not saying that lightly. Like, it's like, whoa, like there's some stuff that needs to get fixed. So like realizing that, and then I think it used to be like in high school, I would realize that and then just beat myself up. But now it's like I realize that and I'd be like, oh, well, let's fix this. Let's do something about it. And I think that's like can make all the difference. Is rather than, you know, seeing how you are insufficient, seeing how I'm insufficient, and then just muddling around in that, playing in the mud, we can actually see what we're doing and actually get out of the mud and go and actually build something great and provide value to others. So guys, I just want to encourage you guys to figure out something this week that you can do to build that and to make it a great thing so you can kind of get out of the mud that you might be in and build something great that provides value and serves others.
Share the show if you want to help other men embrace danger and become truly great. You've been listening to The Dangerous Man. Join us next time. Until then,
claim your greatness
and stay dangerous.